Hello, everyone. Today we have a special lost episode, and that's because our video software failed us. And so it was just frozen on one frame. So we don't have video for this episode, but we do have something very special for you folks today. I decided I will make a slideshow presentation. So please enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Input Left's Pokemon Diamond Randomizer Nuzlocke. This is episode 22 for all of you keeping track at home, and it's probably in the thumbnail and very obvious. I have to do a little mea culpa here at the start, Joe. I need to let you and the audience know a terrible secret that I came to realize.
Wow. And I have to say, this is unplanned. I don't know what you're about to say here, so it's pretty scandalous.
You're gonna be mad. You're gonna be a little mad.
Really? Okay.
Well, at least disappointed. So in between episodes, I went back into the Solaceon ruins and I got all the items in there just to see if there's anything good. There wasn't anything too exciting.
Oh no.
Don't worry, nobody died.
Okay.
Exactly.
Oh.
But what I realized is because remember how I wasn't sure if that Pokemon Tower was its own area on the last route. And I was like, I think it is. So I got an encounter there. It's it turns out it's the same route as the one that we failed to get Metagross in. It's not actually a new route. And what that means is that Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the Gastrodon, is an illegal encounter. And it's time to say goodbye.
At least put her in the graveyard?
No, because we could reuse Debbie on another Pokemon later on.
Okay. Wow.
So sorry to everybody. I know you were probably
traumatic.
mashing at your keyboard furiously back on the episode in which this happened, but now rest assured we have amended our mistake. We never used Debbie in battle, so it strictly hurt us in terms of wasting Pokeballs and such.
Wow.
But yeah.
I know I'm strictly hurt. Yeah, that's a shame. We had to be fair, our team is a little less slimy now, but man.
This also means that for the purposes of Dupes and Species Clause, we can now catch Shellos and Gastrodon. Those are valid encounters should we get them again. All right.
Okay.
Well,
I'll be seeing you after the show for a discussion on your
for
actions
disciplinary action.
Yeah, exactly.
No, punish me. I've been a bad boy.
Oh no.
All right. We already got our encounter here, and so yeah, we're just making our way towards Veilstone still. I think
making our way downtown, the enchanting city of Veilstone, where, as I recall, isn't that where it's kind of got an ancient vibe? It's like, we keep our history here. Or am I totally off? Is this?
I think that's more Celestic Town is probably what you're thinking of. This is a somewhat modern city. It's where the last gambling corner is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
not at all the one I'm.
Not really.
I'm thinking of the one I guess with the is it almost like a mud based houses or kind of rocky?
I mean, there's definitely a
maybe
rocky aesthetic. There's lots of different elevation levels. It's got a very stony sort of aesthetic.
Is this where you get the Deoxys meteors?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
It's also where
that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's also where in Platinum only you can change Rotom's form. I don't believe Rotom's alternate forms exist in Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah, they weren't invented or discovered.
Yeah.
Canonically. Yeah. Well, that's just grand. And to be honest, I think it's we're long past the point in my mind where we should be, getting our third gym badge.
Yep.
And this game is really chugging along. So very excited for that. And do we have a level cap we have in place?
Our current level cap is 30, which we are approaching. But unfortunately, as I sort of mentioned before, it's also 30 for the fourth gym. So we're going to have to navigate this a little carefully.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
What I might do is I might like take a Pokemon off the team and put on another Pokemon
Mhm.
like that's lower level and give them the EXP share to just like soak up some experience, which I'm kind of doing with Groddle, that is Mitch right now. But I might have to do that again with another Pokemon.
Mitch McConnell. Mitch the turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he certainly, you know, I'm glad he's not holding up this team. But he certainly holds up a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
IRL.
I mean, he is kind of like holding up experience in a sense right now. He's siphoning it off, you know, only letting a trickle come out.
Oh yeah. It does half the XP of the person in front, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe he is an obstructionist still to his own benefit.
Exactly.
Is this going to be a double battle?
It's going to be a double battle over here.
Very exciting. Yay, we're going to battle with Pokemon.
Thank you for your voice acting contributions.
I feel like this playthrough is missing some essential voice acting.
I would agree with you if it wouldn't like slow down the game even more, you know?
Right, exactly. And that's the challenge. Like we got to get through the dialogue as fast as possible.
In another game, I would like Gen 3 or 5, which I think are the fastest generations, I would be more comfortable with doing voice acting from time to time just for fun. But we just can't afford to do it in this game. Look at how slow that strength animation is. Oh, that didn't even kill?
I know.
A little surprised.
I remember when I was playing this game as a kid, reading some of those like FAQ, which I mentioned before. I think this was peak FAQ time on the internet, where people would put misleading things and cheats that weren't really cheats, right? And things that I think a lot of people really believed when they were writing it. And one of it was, I think it's either when the screen goes black at the start of the battle, or when it's like processing between like when you're trying to catch a Pokemon, that it would be you would like mash buttons during this processing time in order to increase your catch, like the catch rate, right?
The classic sort of falsehoods.
And there would be some feedback because, you know, it would seem like it was taking and loading a really long time, and maybe you thought, oh yeah, the game's just registering that I input that code.
Right.
But no, it's it's just a really slow, unoptimized game.
Yeah.
Which is pretty similar.
It is taking a long time to process some code. It's true.
Right. It's
not the code you're inputting.
the basic lines of code to continue a static Pokemon battle. Yeah.
So I gotta drop a little flex on everybody real quick. I hope you'll indulge me on this. You may recall.
Please, you gotta make up for your mistakes of the past.
Yeah, exactly. So you may recall that a couple weeks ago, like probably like a good half dozen or so, maybe even more episodes ago, I alluded to the fact that I'd picked up the game Celeste again, and was starting to do some of the optional post-game challenges. As of yesterday, I completed every B side, I completed every C side, and I beat Chapter 9. I've not gotten every Golden Strawberry because they are extremely hard. So the Golden Strawberries, Joe, what they entail are, it's basically like you go through the main story levels and you have to beat them all without dying once, without taking a single hit. And that's how you earn a Golden Strawberry for each level. I did it for the first 2 levels. It didn't take too long. I got to the 3rd one, which is...
Well, that doesn't sound like a particularly hard challenge, but I guess
you have no clue. You actually have no idea.
Okay.
This game is supposed like you're supposed to die like multiple times per screen, basically. And like sure, they're sort of called the A sides, the base levels now. They're a lot easier since I've beaten like the very, very hard versions of them. But like beating them all in sequence, and they're quite long without ever taking a single hit, because like you die in one hit in this game, right? You know, like you fall off, you're gone, right?
I mean, you're telling me, yeah.
Very, very challenging. And I just was like, I don't think I can do this grind. There's even a golden strawberry for chapter 9, which is like, I don't even know if that's possible. I have no idea if anybody has ever done that. That seems extraordinarily challenging. So I think I'm not going to get all the golden strawberries. Forgive me for that. But I still am very happy with what I have done.
You're not being featured. You're not being featured on the completionist, but
no. And he actually did, I think, get all the golden strawberries when he played through Celeste. Although I don't know if chapters 8 and 9 were out when he got them. Still a very impressive accomplishment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. You're gonna just let yourself not be proven the greatest platformer in, you know, history of gaming?
Well, I think what it comes down to for me is
right.
I've invested, according to my save file, about 33 hours into this game now. And I have accomplished basically every like meaningful platforming challenge the game has to offer, right? I think I would have to invest at least double that playtime to get all of these golden strawberries. And I just don't think that is worth it personally for me.
Right.
But I will say I had a blast playing through all of these B-sides and C-sides. I think that they are very fun platforming challenges. But do not feel intimidated, dear listener. If you're somebody that has heard of Celeste,
you don't have to do any of, dear listener, you don't have to do any of that. You just have to play through the main storyline.
If you're somebody who's like heard of Celeste before, or you're at all interested in playing this game, I strongly recommend it. I guarantee that you are capable of beating the game. I 100% guarantee it. It is not so hard that you cannot beat it. You should play it, and hopefully you finish it. However, the other stipulation I would add to this is that if you can beat the main game, you can beat the B-sides. You definitely can. If you've beaten the summit, if you've made it to the top of the mountain, then you can beat all the B-sides. And if you've beaten all of the B-sides, you can beat all the C-sides. And if you've beaten all the C-sides, you can beat chapter 9. That's what I would say.
So it sounds like what you're telling me is that if you beat the A-side, then you can win the whole game.
Yes. I think that the game's difficulty curve is, for the most part, very nicely balanced, such that like once you've sort of done everything there is to do, it kind of neatly transitions into itself. And it's like, okay, that was really hard. This next challenge seems even more difficult, but you definitely can do it. Like it always feels doable, I would say. And I think that's really cool.
Now here's my question for you. Can someone like my mom win Celeste?
Well, you've told me,
or win the A-side.
You've told me that your mom has played some video games. Like there's like Galaga or something that she actually plays religiously.
Yeah, like she used to. Yeah, Galaga, Miss Pac-Man, that kind of stuff. I've seen her on like very basic old-timey platformers, and she definitely struggles to get through like level 1. So that would be my idea of the skill.
Like
range.
Super Mario Bros, you're sort of saying? She struggles to get...
Like she could, with some time, she could probably complete the first level of Mario.
Here's what I would say. I won't sugarcoat it. Yeah. I think she would struggle with Celeste. I think Celeste is mostly made for people who have played some 2D platformers before. I won't deny that. Mm-hmm. I think given enough time, I definitely think she could still beat it, but it would probably take her much, much longer than it would you. And she may not find it as enjoyable for that reason. Now, Celeste does have an assist mode that makes the game much easier to play for somebody who maybe doesn't have as much experience with video games. And I would also strongly recommend that if you do find the game to be too difficult, because I think it's still a very worthwhile experience, and tailoring it to your level of gameplay is 100% the way to play it, I would say. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you shouldn't feel like you have to play it on like the sort of default difficulty setting. If you want to play it,
or the optional God Gamer mode.
Yeah, well,
Hard
there
difficulty.
once you've done what I've done, you've beaten every seaside. You do unlock like this variance mode where you can like artificially alter like the game's physics engine to make it like even harder if you wanted to, just for fun.
Mm.
I don't think I'm going to. But yeah, like I would say 100% like that is a tool the developers put in there. Use it, right? There's no shame whatsoever. If it's just the base game is not like tailored to your difficulty, then use the assist mode, and that's completely acceptable. I think there's a lot of people in gaming who like to shame other people or gatekeep other people whenever they use like easier difficulty modes.
If you use assist mode in Celeste, you're not a real gamer.
Well, there's even like some games, like they try to get assigned cutesy names to their difficulty modes, and they'll like if you choose the easiest difficulty mode, it's literally called like baby mode, and it's like, oh, you need a diaper, and like they make fun of you for picking the easiest difficulty mode.
Right.
And that's like a terrible idea, if you ask me. Some people, like, for one, some people have to choose easier modes because of accessibility reasons. Like, they are physically incapable of beating the games on harder difficulty settings. But even more than that, like, some people just don't have as much experience with video games or don't want to play a game that's so difficult and challenging. And I think you should not shame them at all for choosing to make the game easier for themselves or you know, more suitable to their experience level. I mean, right now I am playing like a difficult Nuzlocke of a game that's like just a completely arbitrary difficulty setting, right? And so take it from me,
this game
like there's absolutely no problem with that.
I won't take back that this game is baby game, but that's not because of, you know, the kind of person that accesses this game.
Yeah.
Because this game is shit.
That's true. That's true. You're finally coming around.
But no. Oh man, nostalgia is a
powerful drug.
Yeah, that's a better way of saying it. And this game is not how I remember it at all. And maybe the post game is more exciting than what we're doing right now, but maybe once we unlock Fly, also, maybe that just makes the game so much better. I don't know. But man, this game is not what I remember. Yeah.
And I don't want you to like come away from this being like, wow, my childhood is shattered. I love this game and it's actually terrible. Like, I think Gen 4 has a lot of problems, but there's still a lot to love here as well, right? I would never like harbor, you know, I would never encourage people to hate this game if they used to love it. I just think that, like, yeah, we should probably take a more critical lens when approaching this game, because I do think right now there is a lot of nostalgia for Gen 4 in the Pokemon community. So, yeah, I think it's good that you're
maybe the remake. The remake will make it all worth it.
I hope so. I
still plan to play and win that day one, you know?
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed a lot. But, you know, I think at the beginning of the series, we talked about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl and our expectations for it and, you know, how we feel having seen the first trailer. And I said, I'm really hoping for a more dramatic overhaul of Gen 4 because I think it needs it. Hopefully now you can see why that's my opinion.
I hope just the loading times are faster, and that would be enough for me. But I hear you definitely.
Yeah.
I don't think it's getting that dramatic.
It doesn't seem like it. Yeah.
But to cap off, I think that conversation about Celeste, I would say while I would get all the golden acorns on my first playthrough, I don't expect that kind of pro platforming from you or from anyone else.
That makes sense.
And everybody, you know, deserves a good shot having a fun time at a game. And I think you're right. I think we don't talk about gaming difficulty levels as accessibility related that often. And I think the kind of language around it is just, are you a chump who needs easy mode, or are you
a Chad? A Chad who doesn't.
You know, yeah,
this guy's too guys. I think that if that's the sort of if accessibility in gaming is a topic you're interested in, and it's a topic I'm definitely interested in, I would highly recommend the channel Game Maker's Toolkit. He has made a lot of very intricate, detailed videos about accessibility in gaming over the last few years. He tends to do, like, at the end of each year, a sort of like recap of it. what games really excelled in accessibility, which games faltered, et cetera, et cetera. And he talks about like aspects of gaming that a lot of people haven't really talked about before. And I think it's a very interesting and exciting discussion to have. And I think that it's something we should all pay more mind to. And he talks about difficulty settings as being like an integral element of accessibility that's often overlooked. And I think he's completely right.
Now, difficulty settings is one, and while I'm not really exposed to this topic, I did a lot of like accessibility organizing in college, and so I imagine, and maybe you could tell me if I'm wrong, it would also include like what fonts are you using?
Subtitles and fonts are huge. Closed captioning, like there's been so many problems with that in the gaming industry specifically.
Like I don't know how people read this gross computer font and what and what that does, if that's helpful or not. But also I imagine like also seizures could be seizure warnings, and seizures could be a component. Like you have ridiculous flashing in your game, which is not a good move, necessarily in general. But maybe sound design, right, and how it complements people who might have that might help with, and also reverse if you can't hear.
There's a lot of really interesting techniques that people have made, that certain games have made to like make games more accessible in recent years. One huge innovation is visual like audio cues. So for one, there's like closed captioning that like goes beyond subtitling, right? Where like you have like just sound effects are also displayed in like subtitles basically at the bottom of the screen. But you can also do things where like in games where listening is really
like just really quick, for a really quick example, like Lombre attacks you and it says in italicized Lombre, like that.
Yeah, sure. But what I was gonna say is that like there are certain games where like you're playing in a 3-dimensional space and audio cues can be really important. These would be games like The Last of Us or Fortnite, right? And these games have implemented
or
what
Minecraft.
are basically like visual representations of audio in the environment, right? Like little rings that pop out and ripple, right? To indicate that there's noise coming from there, whether that's gunfire, footsteps, what have you, right? And that's really helpful.
So visual like imagery.
Yeah, translating sounds into imagery for people who are hard of hearing. Yeah,
that's so cool. Yeah. Do we need this?
It's probably better than Tail Whip. Yeah. So that's one big thing, but also like even for people who have difficulty seeing games, right? There have been a lot of changes made. Like there are some like fighting games are a big area where this happens, right? Like Street Fighter, for instance, or Mortal Kombat, where some of these games more recently have been designed with like players who are visually impaired in mind, so that they can actually play like quite competently and like play competitively just based on like the really rich and informative sound design. And that's super cool.
Maybe here's the real test, the real litmus test. I saw there's a I don't know if this is a new thing, but actually I saw it on the Jay Witz channel, Super Mario 64 blindfolded.
Okay.
To be truly accessible to the blind, can the blind play your game? Try out with a blindfold and see how it works.
I mean, yeah, I guess that would be if you're somebody who is not visually impaired. Yeah, but I think better than that would be accessible. And this is a conversation that they're actually having in the development spaces. Bring in people who suffer from a variety of disabilities, or who live with a variety of disabilities, and have them play test your game, and not just like one, but like multiple people, right? Have people who have various kinds of color blindness see whether or not they can play your game and give you feedback on how to alter your color blindness settings to make it more readable and digestible for them. Do the same thing with people who are visually impaired in general, or with people who have difficulty hearing, or with people who have various motor disabilities, right? Like those are all conversations that need to be had. And it's not just the game makers themselves. it's also the people who make the platforms on which games are played. So that's like console makers,
Oh yeah.
that's
Oh yeah.
controller makers, and those are also those have been moving in more accessible dimensions, more recently. I hate to say this, one of the companies that has struggled the most to make its games accessible, its first party games accessible, and its platforms
Oh
accessible.
no! Don't say it.
Nintendo.
Don't say it.
Nintendo
Ah.
is really behind the industry on this front, and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because I was actually going to point to, do technologies like, having 3D vibration or other creative control mechanisms. Like, okay, technically, when you think about the Wii, that's
the Wii is actually like a
the mother
yeah.
of accessible consoles. Well, you think of it as it had the most accessibility across generations, but also a lot of the games aren't requiring you to do physical tasks.
A lot of Wii games are straight up unplayable for a lot of people.
Right. Right.
And
so it's kind of
even like the HD vibration, like in games where that's been mandatory, right? Like Super Mario Odyssey, that is also there's some moons that are virtually inaccessible to people because they can't utilize HD vibration. I don't know if I actually want Mega Drain, frankly.
Is special attack good?
It's special. I mean, like, maybe I get rid of
You gotta
tackle.
wait for that Giga Drain.
Yeah, I'd probably get rid of
Giga Drain.
tackle, actually. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But like, yeah, that's been a problem. Mario Odyssey also has this really obnoxious problem with it, where like there's a lot of special moves that Mario can do with Cappy, which are not mandatory to beat the game. Though some of them are like borderline mandatory to obtain certain moons. And they are all locked behind motion controls, which is a baffling decision when like half of the buttons on the controllers are unused. Like you can't do the spin around Cappy move. You can't do the throw Cappy straight upwards or throw him down on a roll. Like you can't even just do the regular rolling motion without motion controls. And that is an insane decision for a first party game to have in 17, 18. One of my biggest problems with Odyssey is its lack of accessibility, its lack of remapping controller functions. It's just inexcusable.
Yeah. And it's bad just from a game design for fun standpoint for people that don't have... Because, so it's bad on all fronts. And actually, when you make me think about it, it's like a lot of these accessibility challenges would also just make the gameplay better for everybody, regardless, because having sound design and visual design that complement each other is like what you should strive for always, right? And the fact that that's going to have so many more people able to play your game it's a win for everybody.
I think
in the capitalist system, it's a win for your company too.
I mean, yeah, on some level it is. It's probably not in the sense that like the amount of money you have to invest is not worth the amount of new players you'll get, right? But like it's something that should be done regardless. And I think that you're right that like what should be strived for is for games to be as tweakable and toggleable and remappable as possible, not just to help with accessibility, though that is a very important goal in and of itself. Oh shit. But also just to like make the player experience better, if you really don't like the control scheme, you should be able to remap it basically as much as you want.
Oh, that's why PC gaming is the way to go.
All right, let's see if we can get out even of this without.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, do I think Byte will just
This
one-shot this, or do I think there's a chance it barely lives and then counters and kills Cheney? And does that mean that we should go for Lick instead, when Lick will also probably get one-shot with counter?
Here's my question. What does Glare do?
I already used Glare. It just paralyzes them. So there's a chance that Why Not will just be fully paralyzed, and we'll avoid that altogether.
I think you should switch out and do...
Ever heard of the ability Shadow Tag? That's what makes Why Not and Wobbuffet so powerful. Yeah.
All right.
I think I have to go with Bite, and I just hope it one-shots here. Yeah. All right.
Oh,
that would not have worked on a Wobbuffet.
Yeah.
Wobbuffet would 100% have lived that.
Well, as we defeat this last trainer over here, this episode is run a little long,
Yeah.
so I think it's a good place to end, assuming you're going to defeat this slack off.
Yeah,
which-
but a really interesting conversation I
Fair.
think that we had. Yeah.
Please, yes. Comment down below your thoughts on, what have you enjoyed in gaming accessibility or hated?
Yeah.
Do you hate Mario Odyssey's hat throwing?
What are some of your favorite
But
games
also-
that have come out in terms of accessibility? Like, what are some things that games have done where you said,
Mhm.
wow, that's really thoughtful. That's let me or somebody I know play the game where they otherwise wouldn't have been able to. I think that's great experiences to share.
Or just more fully enjoy
Yeah,
it.
or just enjoy it more. Exactly.
Like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you disliked it, because that also helps us. Subscribe, all that. Input left.
Input
All right, see you
left.
next time.
Bye.
Input left. Bye.